The following podcast is a member of the Pokecasters Network. Pokecasters Network, supporting Pokemon content creators, their shows, and the community of Pokemon fans. To find out more, check out PokecastersNetwork.com or find us on Twitter and Facebook.
I'm talking about how sliced bread is a relatively recent invention.
Define relatively recent.
Betty White is older than sliced bread.
Huh?
She was born in 1922. Sliced bread.
First sold in 1928.
Yeah, so she's older than sliced bread.
Hello everyone, welcome to Not a Scratch, the only podcast that believes that Scratch is an overpowered move. I have heard there are other people that believe it is overpowered, which is why it's now back down to our podcast. I am your host, your GM, your PM, your DM, Anirudh himself, and with me here, trying to be a Twilight Dice, because I'm staring at that right now.
It's me, Mansour. You're gonna have to explain what that is. And with me is someone who has just recently taken up the profession of law.
It's me, Kyle. Played by Muhammad.
That's pretty clever.
You make it sound like you make it sound like your voice is dramatically different.
I was about to do like, whoa, like you, Kyle, you came to life. What are you doing?
Whoa.
Yeah, it's almost like I'm not a voice actor, and the character voices are just like slight twists on my actual voice. Wild.
You make it seem like I'm supposed to be a voice actor.
You are.
Since when? To explain your question, Mansour, my
What?
dice, the two sets of dice I have, one of them is called Speckled Twilight.
Oh,
That's what I was
okay.
looking at.
For a second, I thought of like the book/movie series, and I was like, Twilight Dice. What the heck is that?
Yeah, for the Twilight TTRPG. That totally exists.
RPG.
Oh gosh.
Oh my
Now here's the thing.
I
I
have
bet
these
you
dice.
could Google it and it exists. I'm sure it
Oh,
exists.
definitely. Anyway, so how are you guys doing? I didn't even ask that.
I'm a little tired, but I want to find out what happens in this court case.
Speaking of court cases, that went with Mansour's comment. What court case are you talking about? Question mark. Would anybody like to get out the old social studies textbook, turn to page 394 like Professor Snape did, and tell us, what are you talking about?
It's not going to be me because I don't. I never remember everything from the last episode.
Page 394. I got nothing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forgot your book doesn't go to 394.
I don't think the book
What?
I was leafing through actually goes to 300 pages. Nope. 246 is the last page of the index.
Here we go. Got a book here. It's 200s, 300, 391, 393. Oh, it figures. The book I pull out, 394, is a blank page. All right, well, we did nothing. That's it.
So does someone want to say what happened last episode?
I got
Anirudh's
you.
gonna do
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, last time, you reached Briny Breeze Island, and it was wonderful and fantastic, and Ralph, you could see the beach, and then realized you're going to jail. Maybe. You had a wonderful conversation with a certain Girder, who had a police badge that you're pretty sure he's not supposed to have, and after a lot of discussion between you two and Officer North, you decided, you know what, let's fight this case out. You think Girder did it, and you're heading to the courtroom. That about sums it up.
Oh boy. Is the courtroom like on the beach?
No,
It's actually just a judge's stand, like
On a
in
beach.
the middle of the beach.
That'd be so funny. I like that.
Should we do that?
Sure. Why not? You're the DM.
All right, sweet. Hey, this is a 3-person podcast, so
In
Three
a
people
region
get
with a
added.
complex with a complex legal system, with a complex government. Sorry, in a region with a complex government and a pretty intricate economy, the legal system is just absolutely in shambles.
exactly.
An
Perfect
organized
combination
police
for what we're
force,
doing.
but no proper courthouse.
Probably explains why that one team with the Geodude gets away all the time.
Oh, them the
The what?
oh, like the rock type.
Can we keep that?
They're rock types,
Are
but
we
they're
able to?
suckers. Like they're dopes. Like they're not good at their job.
But
They
can
suck.
we keep that in? Is that allowed?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
I don't know if that's
Sorry,
Listen,
you mean the
man.
rock type suckers? There you go.
Slightly
makes
better.
sense.
I was gonna say you are one letter away from the FCC coming after us.
Okay. Fine, the rock gang happy,
Well, Anirudh's muted, so
or shall I say, Team Rock It?
ha 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 ha. Okay.
how do I kick him from this call? Can we
think
get
I
a
can
Kyle
do that,
solo
actually.
episode
That's
now?
No episodes. No episodes.
All right, I just muted him.
Perfect.
Just-
Wait, no.
No, it's fine. I can hear you now. We can all hear you now. Actually, I don't know if I'm muting you from my side or your side. Anyway, yeah, I think that's a Rock and Rampage you're referring to. I don't know how I'm gonna
Yep.
edit this. And if either of you have anything more to add, you can add it here or forever hold your peace. I don't know if I made that joke last time.
I don't think I have anything to add.
It's been way too long since we last recorded for me to remember much beyond the basics.
All right, cool. So let us dive on in. Literally, because we're in the water. So you guys head to the courtroom, and you notice that Officer North, after going into town, turns out of town.
What?
Like, yeah, Officer North was walking into like the center of the town you were in, and then just took a sharp turn, and he starts walking out of the town that you were in,
Like en route to the courtroom.
en route to the courtroom. Or you would assume so. I don't think you guys know where you are right now.
Okay.
Cool.
And you guys, and as you continue walking after him, you see a wonderful beach with wonderful white sand, wonderful ocean waves, wonderful blue sky, other wonderful things, because I keep saying this word for some reason.
We're getting
And you
so
see a
close to our
courtroom.
beach episode.
And you see a courtroom in the middle of the sand.
Amazing. This is so high budget.
All of your confusion raises immensely.
I, for one, would be good. I, for one, would be very content to watch the sand and the shore and the waves as I get sentenced to life in jail. So I'm really happy that this powerful, serene imagery is there to accompany that.
Yeah, no,
Mr. Lawyer.
It'll be nice to give you one last nice sight of the world before you get locked away. That'll be nice.
Yeah.
I like how you guys are content with the fact that Ralph, A, probably didn't do it, but B, probably doesn't care. Okay. As you head there, Officer North is talking with the judge, who, may I remind you, is a Trevenant named Kane, who's kind of sitting on his little stool. His background is an especially large tree. He's kind of sitting, like, leaning on it a little bit, which is funny, because he is a tree. But...
Where'd you get that
you
branch
see-
from? Where'd you get that branch from? Whose body part is that? Okay.
Okay. He's sitting up a little higher than everyone else. You see, as you walk into the quote-unquote courtroom, which is just like a less sandy, more paved, I guess, area of the beach. You see on one side is the ocean, and waves are slowly approaching it, but not too far. The other side are more trees. Kyle, you are the lawyer, and you are here first. Rather than letting the prosecutor go to one side and defense go to the other, I'm gonna let you choose. So, which bunk bed would you like? Would you like the ocean or the trees?
Bunk bed.
Give me the trees. Wait, is that a question?
Grass.
Yeah, that's an actual question.
grass.
No, but like, is that a question?
Grass.
This is Kyle.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah,
trees.
yeah. The grass type. Well, here's why I say that, because a couple minutes later, Miles the Dartrix comes in, and he looks at you at the trees, gives you a curt look, and then walks over to the ocean desk, and then starts placing his papers and things on there.
Cool. Glad to see
Cool.
he's annoyed.
Am I sitting next to my lawyer, like, as the defendant?
There is a separate area for the defendant, which is next to the lawyer, but it's like there's 2 desks that are separate. So
Oh, okay.
you sit down there.
I see.
Cool. You see all of the people from the boat coming into your courtroom, which is, think of it just like a slightly covered, like one of those tents that go over, but they're like open on the sides.
Yeah.
So like you know,
An
party tents or
awning.
whatever. An awning. Is that the official term?
I don't know.
An awning is something similar. Don't know if it's exactly what you're looking
I
for.
think an awning is meant for like a shop specifically, but
Yeah, no, this is like a tent.
Yeah. You see that just covering your top, so you know if it rains, you're not getting wet. But around you is, if you look down, it's a beach. If you look up, it's a tent. You get the gist. Anyway,
Yep.
The
you see all
level
of
of
the people.
world building is fantastic.
Yeah, well, I'm making all of this up on the spot because I was expecting an actual courtroom, but you know what?
this is a
Roll with
courtroom.
it.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, very
Yeah,
true.
I believe
Uh,
it.
Speaking of, you see that people are sitting down in chairs that are separated from the courtroom. So, they're, the way that I'm seeing it is the far back. If you want to say the wall, technically, a wall of trees is where the judge is, and then looking at the judge, to the left-hand side is the ocean where Miles the Dartrix is. To the right-hand side is the trees where Kyle the Trico is. A little bit further ahead, you see next to Kyle is Ralph the defendant, and then a little bit further ahead than that, you see audience, like chairs almost. Or not quite chairs, but like that's the divider. And then all of the people on the boat are sitting there, with a couple of officers surrounding the place.
Cool.
You had the ocean on the complete opposite side of your picture than I did in my head.
Is it the left side of my view or is it the left side of the judge's view?
The way I see it right now, you right now as you sit down, you're looking at Miles the Dartrix and the ocean behind him. If you look to your right, you see the judge. If you look to your left, you see the peoples. And then Kyle, you basically see the same thing.
Yeah, no, like you had like I for some reason whenever I envision a beach, like I'm looking at the shore, the ocean is on the right, the land is on the left.
Same.
You have it flipped,
Same.
which is
You
weird.
all need to
Interesting.
turn a different direction when you go to the beach. I don't know.
It's because we always turn left at the beach. We never turn
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, you guys need to pick your beaches better. I don't know. Anyway, I think you and the defendant get a couple of seconds to talk to each other before you two get separated. Because, Ralph, you need to be quiet unless talked to. That's a word. That's not a word. And then Kyle, you get to do whatever you want. So you two, last minute conversation before we get started.
I look at Kyle and I say, please don't let me go to jail.
Kyle just like blink, like just like stares at him like blankly, almost just like what are you expecting? Like what?
Okay. I also stand up and wave at the crowd, then I sit back down.
What? Okay. Kyle, you hear a voice in the back of your head that says, you know, between Snow and you, he would have chosen Snow if you guys were on a cliff.
Hey! We don't talk about that.
Didn't realize that that was no longer above game information, but good for Kyle to know.
Anyway, so I think at this we can get started with the court case. This is Anirudh, the GM PM DM of Not a Scratch, and thank you for listening to this episode. Normally, this is not normal, but normally future episodes come out on Tuesdays, so be sure to follow us, subscribe, and do all those important things that you ought to do when supporting a podcast. If you've enjoyed the episode and want to support us in any way, shape, or form that you can, the best way to do so is to share us with your friends. Share us with as many people as you can, and then just tell them to tell us that we should be releasing episodes on Tuesdays instead of saying that we're going to, and then end up doing so on Saturdays. That hopefully won't happen again. Sorry about that. You can also follow us on Twitter at NotAScratchCast or email us as well at notascratchcast@gmail.com if you have any cool ideas you want to add to the podcast or just want to reach out to us. We also have a Discord for Not a Scratch. That is the place I was talking about earlier as other people that think Scratch is overpowered. The Discord thinks that Scratch is an overpowered move. There's a bunch of awesome people that have already joined. You guys listening right now, hello, if you haven't already, you can join to help build the Not a Scratch community. We want to thank Glitch X City for the songs Kirby's Dream Land, the Lo-Fi remix, Sun and Moon Mount Lanakila remix, and Pokemon Sun and Moon Team Skull Leader Guzma remix. We also want to thank Tabletop Audio for the songs Down by the Sea and Interrogation Room. Thanks again for listening. Before we head back into the story, I have 2 other podcasts that I try to keep up with myself that I host, that I do, because I run them. Yeah, words. The first is Adoran Region Sports, where Pokemon play real sports. Right now we're at the first ever Olympic Games and have some exciting events. My second podcast is called Adoran Talk Sports, where I talk about real-world sports. Currently I'm focused on the 2020-2021 NFL season. You can find them in most areas that you listen to podcasts, like right now. If you've got a podcast you want to promote, contact us in the places mentioned previously, so on Twitter or in the Discord. Our promo today is a show that I've been following for a really long time, and they've recently finished their second arc. It's Reckless Rollers.
Hello there. Welcome to the world of Pokemon. I'm Professor Hickory, and I'm here to tell you about... Wait, what's the speech you're doing here?
Issa, come back. Sorry, Professor. I gotta get Issa. Issa! Beep, beep, beep!
Well, anyway, I'm researching some abnormal Pokemon that have recently been found in the Johto region, and
Oh, sorry. Oh, jeez, I forgot how small this door is for my pecs. Hickory, do you know where my shirt is? Jovi stole it while I was at the
no, I
beach.
don't.
Dang it! I'll just look around here.
Well, anyway,
Wannabe, please put your shirt back on. Oh my, you left it at the beach again.
I didn't do that. Jovi stole it.
Whatever, just put on the shirt, man.
All right, jeez.
Issa!
Okay, I remember never put my shirt on when I'm at the beach. Jeez.
looks like these are the trainers you'll be following.
I'm Patry.
I'm Paxton.
I'm Wannabe.
And I'm everyone else. We're the Reckless Rollers. Follow our heroes every Wednesday as they journey through Johto, 30 years after the events of Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
So I think at this, we can get started with the court case, as you hear, Order! Order! We are now in the case of the trial of... And he looks at his notes as I look at it now. Of Boat versus Ralph. Ralph, what's your last name?
Fist hands.
The official case is Boat versus Fist Hands. May we please see the defendant rise to formally be recognized.
I stand up.
You understand that this is a court case about your success and failure. You will be determining whether or not you can stay a free man or go to jail. You understand?
Yes, regrettably so.
What is your plea?
I plead. I look at Kyle dramatically. Not guilty.
If Ralph just said,
Kyle-
I
Ky-
plead
Kyle-
guilty. Wait,
Kyle
alright.
Kyle gives him a nod like, good. Good job, buddy.
I look back at him and I'm like, was that right?
Kyle just gives him, he's nodding at him, giving him a thumbs up like, yup, good job.
I sit back down.
Very well. You may be seated.
Okay. I was already seated.
Yeah. Before we begin, I just want to have the prosecutor, Miles, the Dartrix, please give an explanation of this case. And then, as the judge kind of settles himself in, everyone you can see tensions rising as the case officially begins with Miles, the Dartrix, the prosecutor, beginning his version of the story, I guess. By the way, I think I had a British voice for Miles before, but since this is sort of going with the
Bring it
Ace
back.
Attorney voice-
Bring it back.
Well, here's what I'm doing different. Instead of British, I'm gonna do Seto Kaiba.
Do what now?
I'm gonna do Seto Kaiba as my prosecutor voice, like the Yu-Gi-Oh character.
Whoosh over my head.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
I didn't watch Yu-Gi-Oh growing up. I'm sorry.
bruh, he's got such an iconic voice. Okay, anyway, you'll hear it when I say it. Oh, by the way, I should also mention, there is no jury. This is a judge-only case.
No, what? Okay.
There is no jury.
It's a civil case, apparently, and not a criminal case, although there are
No,
criminal
this is a criminal case. There are just no juries in this world.
Nice.
I have my right to be judged by my peer, although I don't know if I want that for this case. But
Your peers
Okay.
are the people on the boat that don't like you. Would you like them?
yeah, no, never mind. I like it better this way.
This is just me trying to clarify and like trying to just make it simpler on me. Rather have a judge than have to deal with 12
Yeah, that's
different
fair.
lines and stuff like that. Yeah. Anyway. Ladies and gentlemen of the office. The office? I've been watching too much of The Office. Ladies and gentlemen of the boat. It's very clear to see that after all this time, all this evidence, all this work done to try to claim innocence, he has simply dug himself further. Ralph Fisthands is nothing more than a common criminal, doing his job, stealing from the innocence of youth, stealing from the retired.
Objection! I am youth!
The judge just, Mr. Fisthands, please sit down.
Okay.
Kyle glares at him.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm dealing with here? He's able to interrupt a poor prosecutor, trying to prove his case. Meanwhile, we deal with people like him, criminals every day, stealing from the common folk, stealing from people like you. And he points to some of the people in the crowd who have stuff stolen from them. Now I'd like to ask you, with the evidence overwhelming, as I'll prove throughout this case, it'll be clear to see that Ralph is nothing more than just a common criminal, and at the end of the day he should be where criminals go, behind bars. And he sits down, feeling, kind of puffs his little collar, his little bow tie.
I nudge Kyle and I'm like, you see what I did there? By putting up the objection, he's been saying a lot of nothing. He's been talking about all this rhetoric, but didn't actually bring up any of the evidence. You are in a strong position, my friend.
Kyle is continuing to glare at Ralph.
I'm just saying, he said a whole lot of nothing in that speech. A lot of words, but he wasn't actually saying anything. So, you got it. Don't worry about it.
At this
the
point,
glare continues.
At this point, the judge goes, Thank you very much, prosecution. Defense, any comments before we begin?
I'd just like to say that, I don't believe the prosecution has any real evidence that my client committed the crime, and moreover, we in fact have evidence that someone else committed the crime.
You hear a bunch of murmuring in the background. Quiet! I understand. Well then, prosecution, you may call your first witness. And at this, Miles kind of nods a little bit and says, First, I'd like to bring Officer North to the stand. And Officer North gets up from his seat, or however he sits down. I don't know if Mac's own would sit down, but Officer North kind of floats on to where the witnesses stand, which I like to think is in front of the audience. So you, Kyle, are looking to your left when you're looking at the witness, and looking to the right when you're looking at the judge, looking straight at Miles. Get it? Cool. They do the whole procedure, tell the whole truth, blah, blah, blah. And the judge goes to you as North is coming up and says, So, here's how it's going to go. The prosecution is going to ask the witness some questions, and then after he's done his testimony, you can go and poke holes at any of the comments that he says, okay?
Kyle just gives him a nod, like, yep, sounds good.
Okay, alright, first witness, you may begin your testimony. And then, the prosecution just goes, Well, Officer North, please state your case and what you saw the night of the crime. And then Officer North, will begin. Well, I started off, it was dinner time, approximately 8 p.m., and we had decided after dinner was finished, it was 9 p.m., my apologies. It was 8 p.m. when we came in for dinner, and at 9 p.m. we all left the rooms. I headed into my room and stayed there for the duration of the night. The following morning, I woke up and was informed by the captain. I was informed that there was a blockade in the captain's room. I went through it, opened the doors, and realized that the captain was stuck underneath in his original room in the basement. Following that, some claims were made about stolen items, and following the trail of clues, we led it into Ralph's room. Thank you very much. Defense, if you have any questions.
Officer, what clues were found that led you to target Ralph as the suspect of the crime?
Well, the first question, of course, the first clue, of course, was the fact that Ralph's door was not broken, unlike the majority of rooms that were there. When entering his room, we found the stolen items below his bed.
And officer, you then proceeded to spend the duration of the trip with Ralph and myself, correct?
Correct.
And did we find? Do you recall us finding any evidence of Ralph's room being broken into after you made the initial arrest?
Well, there was a suggestion that they came into your room initially and then went through the in-between door, as if that was the method.
And you can confirm that you found the doors between myself and the defendant's rooms unlocked and opened and broken into, correct?
Correct.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's very clear that my defendant was in fact framed for this crime. The officer will be able to corroborate this. Officer, did we proceed to then find evidence that someone else perhaps committed the crime?
Yes, we found some evidence to suggest it may not have been Ralph.
Would you mind sharing that evidence with the court?
Let's see here. Well, there was evidence to suggest that some of Ralph's items were stolen as well. For example, his baseball cap and his power band are still missing. And at this, Miles goes, "Alright, I gotta build it up. Objection! Please, he could have just stolen them and hidden them somewhere else. There's no suggestion that this clears him of the crime."
Well, no, in and of itself it doesn't. However, the fact that Ralph's items were also found to be stolen and have not yet been returned are proof that whoever did commit the crime clearly made it appear that they were a victim of the crime as well, and simply framed Ralph. Officer, can you please continue with stating the rest of the evidence that we found in our time together?
There was also a passenger chart on the second floor of the boat, suggesting that there was someone that knew what the boat would look like before coming in. Following that, there is a gold ring that we found in Kyle's room. It was a clear circle, a clear golden circle, suggesting that the person that infiltrated Kyle's room would have owned that ring. And at this, Miles goes, "Objection! How do we know that this isn't Kyle or Ralph's ring?"
Well, it's clearly the ring of someone with a bit more wealth than two 10-year-olds could ever have.
"Objection overruled. Continue, witness." There was also a camera that was disturbed throughout the entire process, which may have been the cause of the criminal. We're still unsure about that. However, the camera was too tall for Ralph to be able to touch.
You see, ladies and gentlemen, we found significant evidence to show that Ralph was indeed not the criminal in this case, and that the defendant is in fact not guilty.
Very well. Prosecution, do you have another witness? Fine. If we want to go with somebody else, then I call the chef, Bianca the Farfetch, to the stand. At which point, North sits down and Bianca stands up and goes over to the witnesses' stadium podium thing. "Now, Bianca, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. First, the meals that we had the other day, the night of the crime, what meals were they?" And then Bianca goes, "Well, there was an apple dessert, there was a berry dessert, and a seed dessert, along with everyone having roughly the same buffet sort of course." Sure, but the desserts, I want to talk about them in particular. Do you happen to know what each person chose? "Oh, sure, I have that in a little book of mine." And she pulls out the paper that you guys saw earlier of who ate what dessert. "I see, and would you mind telling us what dessert Ralph ate?" Well, it seems that Ralph, ate the apple dessert, if I'm not mistaken." Well, that's very interesting. Because as you can see from this evidence," as he pulls out a little plastic bag, "as you can see from this evidence, it's clear that the fingerprints that were taken from the doorknobs were covered with an appley residue." Your witness, as he points to you.
Objection, Your Honor. Ralph was not the only person on the boat to eat an apple dessert. This is not incriminating evidence and is not sufficient evidence to warrant any further consideration.
Also, not an objection, Your Honor, but a question. If there were fingerprints found, why didn't you just run the prints?
This is 1920s. We don't have that type of technology.
Why?
There were no prints.
Why didn't you
There's
just
no
fingerprint everyone on the boat?
print.
Why
It's
did you just?
Kyle
There's no
is
prints
glaring
necessarily.
at Ralph right now.
Did you not understand that everyone has different fingerprints and you could just get?
If Kyle doesn't know the move mean look, but it sure looks like he does right now.
Okay, whatever. All right.
There are no fingerprints necessarily. It's just finger like globs of apple pieces. I guess I don't know how to describe it.
Okay.
Whoever did the crime didn't wash
Yeah.
their hands.
Basically, that's what you can accuse them of. This reminds me of the John Mulaney joke of like crimes back in the olden days. It's like Sheriff, we found a pool of blood in the back room. Oh,
Gross. Wrap it up.
gross. Mop it up.
Now back to my hunch.
Punch. Where were we? Yeah, so the apple thing. Yeah, but think about it. I mean, it does put more evidence suggesting that Ralph did do it. After all, it narrows it down to a bunch of people, and the evidence was found. I mean, the items themselves were found in Ralph's room.
Your Honor, I would ask that this evidence not be admitted due to its vagueness in nature and the fact that it does not point specifically to Ralph, but merely suggests that Ralph could be one of many that committed the crime.
I need you to roll cute for.
Here we go.
As he gives this
Persuasion, I
objection, as he gives this thing, he's like doing like little puppy eyes. Please no.
Please no, Your Honor.
This would be a persuasion check.
I swear we're not scripting this. We just get good rolls when we need them. I got a 19.
Nice.
Hey, dirty.
swear
Is
we
that
don't
plus
get
the one?
this. That's with the +1.
Okay.
18 plus
Yeah.
1.
The judge goes, fair point. That evidence is not going to be used at the end of the trial. And he sort of just like, pushes it
Does
aside.
he say
I guess,
objection
quote, unquote.
sustained?
Yeah. Objection sustained. There you go. Because I forgot you had an objection for that. Miles looks even more frustrated at this point and says, very well. Why don't we call... I'd like to call Fran the Zangoose up to the witnesses stand. At which point, Fran stands up, gives you both a dirty look, because he does not like you after some crazy incidents from Ralph, and sits up on the witnesses stand. Now, Fran, would you like to tell us your occupation, the job that you had previously? I was a cop. Been a cop for a good long while, and I just retired. I was retiring here in Briny Breeze Island. I don't think this was his voice, but whatever. A cop in Briny Breeze Island. Well, then you of all people would understand how important a badge is. He looks sort of, not nervous, but concerned, I guess, at this point. Because he looks back to you two, and then slowly starts to remember the fact that you had this conversation with him about his badge. And he's still trying to process it all right now. Right, yeah, a badge is very important for a cop. Well then, you should understand that when someone steals your badge, it's a problem. Now, why don't you tell me what you told me a couple of days ago? There was, as we were looking around because I was assisting them at the time, and when I went to meet with the defendant, Ralph, he started talking to himself and had some weird conversation. I'm not sure. And Miles at this point goes, look at that. Clearly an accomplice. After all, either Ralph has delusions, which is not a good sign considering he's a defendant in this case, or he's talking with somebody else. A known criminal on the outside, perhaps. Somebody that may have insisted on him doing this crime.
I nudge Kyle and I'm like, do you think maybe you could argue that I am insane and as such could not be found guilty under the premise of insanity?
Kyle just holds like a finger up, just like shh. Shh.
Okay.
Yeah, you can interrupt.
What did Miles say again? Because I had a counterpoint and I lost it because someone started talking.
He said something along the lines of, either he's got somebody on the outside helping him, or he's just crazy.
Fran, did you see anyone else with Ralph at the time that you say he was speaking to someone else? Was there anyone else present at the time?
I think you were there. Officer North was there. I was there. Ralph was there. I think the judge might have been there. I remember us four specifically because we were out of the room, but...
And would you say that Ralph was speaking to any of us there present?
I couldn't say. I assumed he was talking with somebody, but nobody seemed to respond.
And would you as a former police officer, you have an intuition for these things. Would you say Ralph has the ability to speak with Pokemon not present in any way, shape, or form as a fighting type?
Well, no, generally not.
And as a former police officer, would you judge the defendant as the type to be able to commit this crime in the first place, considering the feats of strength and athleticism necessary to break into rooms, remove the stolen items, disable the cameras, and do it all under the cover of dark without raising any suspicion?
At this, Miles just goes, "Objection! We've proven, as Ralph himself has clearly admitted in the past, that he used to own a power band. Why couldn't he have just used that to break the doors?"
The power band was among the stolen items.
Not necessarily.
Counter objection. The power band is good for punching people, not inanimate objects.
The judge gives you a nasty look as you interrupt the case.
Okay, I'll stay quiet.
Well, even if my defendant did have the power band, that would simply cause him to be able to break the doors loudly and violently. Whoever did this was able to keep it quiet as well, not waking anyone on the ship and not raising any suspicion. The power band wouldn't allow him to do that.
The judge goes, "Objection overruled. The defense makes a fair point. Do you have any other questions, prosecution?" And this, Miles, looking clearly perturbed at this point, goes, "No. Defense, if you have any other questions, otherwise you can start bringing up your witnesses."
We have no further questions for the current witness. We would like to call Officer North back to the stand.
Alright, Officer North pops back up.
Officer, you've seen the evidence presented so far. In your time with us, was there any evidence specifically related to the missing items of Fran the Zangoose that we found that may be of interest to this case?
Miles goes, "Objection! We're dealing with Ralph here. Why does Fran have anything to do with any of this?"
Well, he did have a police badge stolen from him, and if you would let the witness speak, we do have some evidence regarding the potential whereabouts of that badge, considering it was not with the stolen goods in Ralph's room, is not currently with the defendant himself, and is still missing.
Roll charisma. Roll charisma with advantage.
I was gonna say I didn't think I had to roll for that one. Also, yikes! I rolled a 4 and a 5.
Oh no!
Ooh.
Listen, the rolls only come out when we absolutely need them. We'll be fine.
The judge at this point goes, "Objection sustained. Fran doesn't seem to have anything to do with this case." So I am now blocking you from being able to talk about Fran's items, per se. So you have to find another way to go about that conversation.
So you mean to tell me that we can't bring up the biggest piece of evidence, the fact that we found one of the stolen goods with someone else? You mean to tell me we can't bring that up?
I mean to say you cannot mention Fran specifically, and Fran's items. Now, if you want to approach this from a different direction, feel free.
Officer, in your time with us, did we stumble upon any evidence that any of the stolen items that the defendant allegedly stole were in fact in someone else's possession?
Well, oh wait, no, I'm not the judge. I'm the officer.
I was gonna say, whoa.
Well,
What reveal is
well,
this?
actually, I have a perfectly good voice. No, well, we did determine that there was another individual that may or may not have possessed one of these stolen items. Everyone starts murmuring some more.
Officer, would you, before we reveal the identity of said individual, would you like to present the court with the evidence pointing to the fact that this individual could have perhaps committed the crime?
Well, the particular individual we are looking at that may have committed the crime did have an apple dessert. They were tall enough to be able to reach the cameras. They, considering their location on the boat, could have been wealthy enough to have the golden ring that was found in Kyle's room. They definitely have enough power to be able to break doors and do it quietly.
Is there any further evidence that we found that may connect this one person to the crime?
Well, following us leaving the boat, we found them heading away from the boat, potentially with some item with them, as they seemed to avoid conversation with us. And there is a suggestion that they also had broken glass with them, which may have been the cause of the light fiasco that occurred on the boat a night or two ago.
Officer, would you be so kind as to tell the court who in fact all this evidence points to?
And the officer turns around and points to Plank the Girder and says, Plank the Girder. Ralph, why are you surprised?
No, I like to imagine that Ralph is like making a shocked, like pretend, like you know, like the Pikachu, like the surprised Pikachu face, just like what? Whoa! And like looks at like the crowd and goes like, "This is crazy, guys, isn't it?" Like that sort of like face.
The
Kyle
crowd goes,
is
murmurs some
glaring
more.
daggers.
The crowd kind of
Your Honor,
murmurs some more as Girder kind of looks like, "What? Me? What?"
Your Honor, the defense would like to call Plank the Girder to the stand.
And Plank begrudgingly gets up to the witnesses stand at passing Officer North. And here we go.
Before we start, I would like to remind you that you are under oath and must answer all questions presented to you truthfully and honestly. Mr. Girder, is any of the evidence presented by Officer North just now that may potentially connect you to the crime, was any of that fabricated or false?
But how am I supposed to know that?
Would you like us to run through the evidence one piece at a time?
Look, I don't know where you're getting all this evidence mumbo jumbo from. I don't see any reason why you should suspect me.
Well, did you in fact have an apple dessert the first night of the trip?
Well, yes.
Are you in fact tall enough to have... What's the word I'm looking for?
What is it?
What's the word I'm looking for? Are you in fact tall enough to have tampered with the cameras in the boat's hallways?
I suppose. I mean,
Are you in fact strong and athletic enough to break down the room doors and steal any goods, considering your alleged experience in construction?
I guess, but you can't believe this is me. As he looks to the prosecutor, the prosecutor right now is like thinking to himself, like, wait a minute, like.
Mr. Girder, sir, as someone experienced in construction, would you be able to reproduce a map of the boat and its rooms?
Well, wait a minute. No, you can't believe this is me. As he starts like looking around.
Your Honor, and ladies and gentlemen of the court, I am not firmly suggesting that this this individual committed the crime. What I am suggesting is that more evidence points to this individual than to the defendant. And the defendant is very clearly not the one guilty of the crime.
Yeah, this Kyle
At
just
this,
sits back down.
Yeah. And Girder is getting more and more like nervous at this point. Wait! You can't suspect me. You don't think I did it? And he's really like flailing around a little bit at this point. And the judge just kind of goes, "Now, listen, are you denying these accusations officially?" Of course. I wouldn't have done something like this. Wait, hold up. Then here's my question to you. How would you explain the night then? The fiasco that occurred under dinner, huh?
Which fiasco is he referring to? Excuse me?
So you went up to like a microphone and just basically said, "Hey, we
Oh,
know
with-
who did
with-
it," or
with
something
the
along
ring?
those lines, and then there was a flash of light.
Your Honor, I don't
yeah, go
have
ahead.
Your Honor, I don't have an explanation for the events brought up by the witness. However, I can say, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that there is absolutely no way the defendant could have caused that level of pandemonium, considering he does not have any items that would allow him to do so, does not know any moves that would allow him to do so, does not have any abilities that would allow him to do so, and is simply just a 10-year-old kid with no idea what's going on. If the prosecution has any questions for the witness, the defense rests.
Ralph, how do you feel about the fact that he just went and embodied pretty much all of the arguments made?
Unless Ralph is just no longer with us.
Is Ralph here?
I'm here.
Okay.
Are you
how
not
do
going to
feel about
address the
this
question?
God-tier effort?
Sorry, say that one more time.
How do you feel
I was
about the
twiddling my
God-tier
thumbs
effort
because
that,
I thought my lawyer didn't want me to say anything. What?
How do you feel about the God-tier efforts made by the pal here?
You're gonna have to refresh my memory.
Refresh your memory from the past 30 minutes.
Okay, so long story short, Kyle just blew up every single argument that could suggest that it was you, and instead turned them all to this Girder.
Okay, wonderful, amazing. I don't think I have to say anything about that. I'm just like, yeah, cool.
Okay.
I also don't want to mess it up.
And
Also, you know, he was asking you how Ralph is feeling, not asking. No one was asking Ralph anything.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well,
No one was asking Ralph
is-
anything. No one
okay,
cares what you have to say.
Ralph is very, very, very impressed with Kyle, and is looking back in like Arc Zero, like how unconfident Kyle used to be, and him now just like showing up these literal adults, in this court case, and he's just very proud and happy. He's not gonna say anything, because that often does more bad than good, but he's just very proud.
and at this point, Girder starts freaking out a little bit. Like, wait. He couldn't explain it. He couldn't explain it. That means I couldn't have done it. And at this, in a surprising twist, Miles stands up and says, well, there is an alternative method. And he pulls out the glass shards that were found inside the boat. These could have been from a Lumios orb, which would have caused a brief flash of light that then would have caused any distraction. Care to explain that, my friend? And now you two are both ganging up on him. What? Look. This isn't me. And he turns to you two, and in a bit of rage, jumps at you two. And that's where we will end this episode.
Whoa, buddy, back up!
You mean to tell me that next episode is going to start with? So we last left off with the court case. Roll initiative.
Pretty much. Yeah, so that was fun.
Do I have my power band on me?
You do not. It is still lost in the abyss.
Dang it.
Ralph is about to get wailed on with his own power band.
Oh, he probably has it, doesn't he? Dang it! No.
So, with that being said, I have been your PM, your DM, your GM, Anirudh himself.
Oh, I've been Mansour playing Ralph.
And I've been Mohammed playing Kyle.
And until next time, take care.